Hi everyone! If you're new here, I'm Allen with Earthglow, and this channel is all about sharing the joy of candle making. In today's video, we are going to be doing another edition of Fragrance Favorites, but this one is really special because this is one of my favorite categories of fragrances. So today's video is outlining my favorite gourmand fragrances. I mean bakery fragrances, sweet fragrances, decadent fragrances, fragrances that are just gonna make you want to go out and eat cake or buy a donut or just give you that true experience of indulging decadence. And as I always mention about this series, these fragrances are going to be year-round candle fragrances. So I'm not going to be doing any apples and maple bourbon or pumpkin souffle or toasted pumpkin spice, any of those types of fall fragrances or the winter ones where you could only really sell it in the winter time. I really wanted this series to be able to be versatile and year-round. But anyways, if this is something that you're interested in, then I hope that you're subscribed and I hope that you keep on watching. And before we get into this video, I do always have to put the disclaimer out that these are fragrances that I like personally and I've had a lot of experience working with and or selling, and generally these are also going to be fragrances that do very well for me selling them. But there's always the chance that you might smell one of these fragrances and not like it, or you might like a fragrance that I put on my fails list and personally do not like. And that's just the nature of fragrance. It is going to be highly subjective, but the purpose of this series is just to kind of narrow things down a little bit because, as I mentioned, all the fragrances in this series I've had extensive experience working with and or selling. But let's get right into this. So our number five, my number five, is going to be a tie between Blueberry Cheesecake and Blueberry Cobbler. Now, if you do have to choose one of them, I personally blend these together and I go back and forth on which one I like more. It just kind of depends on the day for me, honestly, but I would have to say most days the Blueberry Cobbler probably takes the win for me, but I think the Blueberry Cheesecake has a slightly better throw. So if you're able to do it, what I would recommend is just getting them both and blending them at a 50-50. This is my Blueberries for Breakfast candle, and it is so nostalgic for me of the Mamas and the Papas song, Blueberries for Breakfast. You just get this perfect balance of butter and sugar and fresh blueberries, cheesecake, baked blueberries, caramelization. Like, it literally smells like you are making the dessert and you're having it for breakfast, and I just adore this fragrance. I sell it year-round. It is in my artisan collection and it is a generally very good seller year-round. I will say that in the summertime I probably do sell actually more of this candle, and maybe that's just because I bring a lot of other seasonal gourmand fragrances into my fall and winter collections. But yeah, Blueberries for Breakfast, combination of Blueberry Cheesecake and Blueberry Cobbler at a 50-50, and I will put the recipes that I use that are mentioned in this video in the description box in case you want to try them out yourself. But that takes my number 5 spot for my 5th favorite gourmand fragrance of all time. And my number 4 spot, please do not absolutely kill me, because I do realize that this one is kind of somewhat subjective, but we have Sugar Cookie, and I know some people would argue that you can only sell a Sugar Cookie fragrance during the winter time, but I'm gonna argue that this particular Sugar Cookie by candlesandSupplies.net, you could sell it year-round. And I would argue beyond saying that you could sell it year-round on its own as a standalone fragrance to say that this fragrance also makes a showstopper blender to so many other gourmand scents. Like, for example, we're gonna talk about a fragrance later that I actually have ranked as my number 1 fragrance, but that I do end up blending with a little bit of this fragrance. And that is just the case with so many gourmand scents. And you could probably even take like a non-gourmand fragrance and blend it with this scent. And I feel like most things would work well with it. This is just such an upscale sugar cookie. It's a classic sugar cookie, don't get me wrong. You get the rich cream, the buttercream icing, the sugar, the butter, but you just get a lot of the bread to this one in a way that it's almost like a shortbread. I feel like that would be actually a more accurate name for this one than sugar cookie. It's almost like shortbread. And it's like a rich bread, like almost like a scone. Made into like a shortbread fragrance. And yeah, you do get a little bit of almost like powder or almost, I don't want to say amber, but there's a lot of base to this fragrance that goes well beyond most of the, you know, sugar cookie royale from the Flaming Candle or the vanilla from Candle Science or most of the other sugar cookies that I've tried. They just don't come anywhere close to this sugar cookie from the candlesandSupplies.net. So come at me, but I do have to put this on my favorite fragrances, my favorite gourmand fragrances of all time, and rank this as my number 4. Okay, in my number 3 spot, I have Chocolate and Amber by Nature's Garden. And this fragrance, I know I rave about on my channel a lot. I think I mentioned this one in my luxury, my favorite luxury fragrances video, and also I believe I mentioned it in one of my favorite, in one of my top 5s on my favorite amber fragrances video of all time. But yeah, this Chocolate and Amber, for me personally, it is definitely gourmand. Like when you burn this, the chocolate notes will really come out and come to life. And it is definitely got a lot of sweet notes to it. But the pairing with the amber just makes it so upscale and so modern and chic and just really, really, really luxe. So yeah, this Chocolate and Amber is in my Wanderlust collection, and this is my Bruges candle. Now I will say that it has a decent scent throw, but I wouldn't consider it an excellent scent throw in natural waxes. I use this one in my beeswax, soy, and cocoa cream wax blend. But yeah, you definitely are gonna have that with a lot of amber fragrances where the hot throw just isn't quite as good. But I use this in wax melts as well, and I get an even better hot throw in the wax melts that I would consider excellent because it can fill a medium to large sized room. So yeah, this Chocolate and Amber is going to be my number 3 favorite gourmand fragrance of all time. My number 2 favorite is gonna be Oatmeal, Milk, and Honey by Nature's Garden. Now, I have tried a lot of oatmeal, milk, and honey fragrances. I think I actually started with an oatmeal, milk, and honey fragrance from Michaels, and that was like one of the first candles that I ever made. So this one does have some nostalgic meaning to me for that reason. But also, I've tried oatmeal, milk, and honey from, I want to say, Bulk Apothecary. And yeah, this one just, it ranks so much higher. That, like, it's everything I could imagine from an oatmeal, milk, and honey fragrance. And you get the oatmeal and you get the milk and you get the honey, but it's not overly sweet. Like the sugar cookie, this one is a gourmand fragrance, but it is not like nauseating. And that's kind of one of my pet peeves about gourmands. I like them to be sweet, but I like a lot of like the cake, the bread, the pudding. I don't want it to be all just the sugar and the sort of top notes with the crystallized sugar and the sweet, you know, sort of sickening notes. I want those like rich base notes in my gourmands. And so yeah, this one definitely is my number 2 favorite gourmand of all time, Oatmeal, Milk, and Honey by Nature's Garden. This one will also be in my Rustic collection, and the hot throw on this is superb in my beeswax, soy, and cocoa cream wax blend, and I do use 10%. But yeah, this can fill a medium to large size room, and that's with a natural wax blend. So I can imagine if you do use like a paraffin or a parasoy that you might even get a better throw out of this one. Okay, so in my number 1 spot, I can't even believe I'm saying this because this is not my personal #1 favorite Gourmand. I would have to say my personal #1 favorite Gourmand probably would have been that oatmeal milk and honey or the chocolate and amber. Probably the chocolate and amber would be my personal favorite. But I do have to put this one as my #1 just because I cannot keep this candle in stock, and there are so many other candle makers who have also raved about this scent, and you just need to know about it basically if you're gonna sell candles, because so many people love, love, love this fragrance. Banana Nut Bread by Candle Science. Yeah, to me, this one is not named very accurately. I think it smells more like a banana pudding. I don't get very much of the bread notes. Is it a great thrower? Absolutely. In 464 Soy is how I use it. This is my banana bread candle, but I do end up blending it with the sugar cookie that I mentioned earlier by candlesandSupplies.net, and I will put the blend that I use in the description box. But yeah, this fragrance, it's a classic banana bread. To me, more of a banana pudding by itself. You get a lot of the banana notes. You definitely do get some of like the walnut and the pecan notes to it. And you definitely get a nice base to this one as well. Not quite as much as I would like, but it's not super top heavy. Like there's definitely some sandalwood and some butter in the base of this one, but I think that bringing in the sugar cookie by Candles and Supplies takes this to another level to where people smell it and they just don't even know what you did to make a candle that literally smells like you are baking a fresh loaf of banana bread in your kitchen, and it's filling your home with just the most wonderful, inviting, comforting, happy scent. So for our honorable mentions today, I very, very, very sadly, like with crying faces, have to mention this brandied pear, this old brandied pear from Candle Science that they no longer have available because they changed it to brighten the pear notes. In my opinion, they changed it to, I guess, brighten the pear notes, yes, but they took out so much of the brandy, and to me, that's what just made this scent. This was a bestseller for me as well as so many other candle makers, the way they had it. So Candle Science, if you're listening to this video at all, like, I'm begging you to please bring back your original brandied pear for your fans, because it was such a hit for so many of us and it's just not the same anymore. So that is an honorable mention for me, and I'm not gonna waste any more time on this one because you can't even get it anymore. They still sell it, brandied pear, clean scent. It says the exact same thing, but it is not the same, trust me. And my next honorable mention is this lemon pound cake fragrance from Candle Science. And yeah, this one gets an honorable mention because it is a really versatile fragrance. I use it on its own. I've sold it as lemon pound cake and it does decently like that. I've also sold this one in my Spill the Tea candle that I will put the recipe up for on the screen. It is blended with Honeysuckle Jasmine in that candle, and that one is also pretty popular for me in the summer. Definitely not a bestseller, but I would say if you took that one to a farmer's market, depending on your audience, you're probably gonna sell 5 or 6 out of 10. And yeah, it's just a refreshing gourmand fragrance that you definitely can have year round, and to me it really shines in the summer, believe it or not. Also, if you do sell candles in the South, I feel like that this lemon pound cake is gonna be even more popular for you. And you get a good balance of the lemon and the cake in this one. I definitely don't feel a need to blend this fragrance with any like base notes like the sugar cookie from Candles and Supplies like I do with the banana bread. It's really a standalone fragrance, but you can elevate it by blending it with, say, lilac or lavender. And you can get like a lilac, like a lemon lavender gelato, I feel like. You can easily turn this one into a decadent, like artisan ice cream by blending it with a floral note, like a lavender, like a lilac, like a honeysuckle jasmine, as I do, and it can become a really upscale gelato type of a fragrance as well in the summertime. And my last honorable mentions, don't come at me, please don't come at me in the comments. I mean, you can if you want. This is definitely asking for trouble to put a Snickerdoodle fragrance in here. because I know Snickerdoodle does really shine in the wintertime. Yes, I get it. But I'm also gonna argue that you could have this in your candle line year round, because I will have people asking about this scent year round, and I usually have to tell them, no, this fragrance is only gonna be in the fall and winter. It is part of my Winter Wonderland collection typically, because I do actually use a toasted pumpkin spice fragrance in the fall that is kind of like a pumpkin Snickerdoodle, and so I don't like to have this regular Snickerdoodle in my fall collection usually. I blend these, the one from Candle Science and the one from the Flamey Candle, together, because the one from Candle Science, you definitely do get more of like the base notes, you get more of like the cookie, and the one from the Flamey Candle, you get more of the spices. And together, they are just like a perfect union. But to me alone, the one from the Flaming Candle almost smells like a burned sugar cookie, and the one from Candle Science almost smells like just like the bread without enough spice to it. And yeah, but also I want to mention that if you do want to just stick to one supplier and you do buy a lot from Candle Science and you're looking for something to mix with that banana bread to get more of the bread like I was mentioning earlier, this Snickerdoodle from Candle Science is one that I would recommend as, well, it certainly wouldn't replace the sugar cookie by Candles and Supplies, but if you are just trying to stay to one supplier, and I know that a lot of you do enjoy Candle Science as I do, I think that the Snickerdoodle by Candle Science would be a alternative to function very similarly to the sugar cookie from candlesandSupplies.net. But anyways, that is gonna be all for today's video. After going through all of my Gourmand fragrances, I don't find any that I would really consider fails, and when I do mention fails and favorites, they are gonna be fragrances that really stand out to me as a favorite or a fail, and there's a lot of fragrances in the series that just kind of don't really strike me as good or bad. I'm just kind of indifferent to them because I have such a huge fragrance collection, so I'm not going to bore you with any of those because we really just don't have any fails for today, and I'm fine with that. But anyways, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have tried any of these fragrances, or if there are any Gourmand fragrances that you think that I need to check out, because I am always looking to try more fragrances. I know some of you mentioned the ones from Makesy, that there's a really good, I want to say like a sweet cream fragrance from Makesy that I have in my cart right now. And also there's a couple other Gourmand ones from them that several of you have mentioned, and I do have those in my cart, so I'm definitely going to be checking them out. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and happy candle making.